morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the APO Productivity Talk on AI Regulatory Sandboxes. My name is Lee Dongjin, the Program Officer in APO Secretariat. The Productivity Talk is a series of online discussions where we explore emerging trends, best practices, and cutting-edge innovations that enhance productivity across industries. As artificial intelligence continues to reshape industries, government around the world are grappling with how to regulate AI in a way that fosters innovation while safeguarding the public trust. In 2023 report on regulatory sandboxes in artificial intelligence, the OECD emphasized the importance of regulatory experimentation as a core policy tool for achieving trustworthy AI. It highlighted how AI regulatory sandboxes controlled environment for testing new technologies can help bridge the gap between rapid innovation and evolving legal frameworks. Against this backdrop, today's discussion will explore how AI regulatory sandboxes are being designed and implemented globally, and what lessons we can draw for effective and future-ready governance. To help us navigate this timely topic, we are honored to welcome Dr. HaeOk Choi, the research fellow at the Science and Technology Policy Institute, the STEPI of the Republic of Korea, whose work directly engaged with international best practices and strategic policy design in this field. Good morning, Dr. Choi.
Good morning.
Good morning. In today's talk, we will explore how different countries are experimenting with these regulatory models, what lessons can be drawn from international case studies, and how this insight can inform policy design for inclusive and responsible AI innovation. Before we begin the presentation, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. HaeOk Choi, a distinguished researcher in science and technology policy in innovation ecosystem. Dr. Choi is currently a research fellow at the STEPI in the Republic of Korea, where she focuses on system innovation, creative industry clusters, and regulatory frameworks for emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence. She holds a PhD in urban engineering from the University of Tokyo, where her doctoral research explored knowledge network and innovation clusters in the digital content industry. She also earned her master and bachelor degree in urban planning and engineering from Chungbuk National University in Korea. Dr. Choi brings rich international academic and research experience, having held postdoctoral and visiting research positions at prestigious institutions such as Tsinghua University in China, Osaka University in Japan, and Michigan State University in the United States. Her work combined a deep understanding of urban system innovation policy and global technology governance, making her especially well positioned to speak on today's topic on AI regulatory sandboxes. We are pleased to have Dr. Choi with us to share the valuable insight from a comparative research on AI regulatory sandboxes worldwide. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Choi. I'd like to give the floor to you for the presentation.
Yes. Good morning. My name is HaeOk Choi, and I'm a researcher at the Science and Technology Policy Institute in Korea. And my research focuses on the regulatory innovation, regulatory sandboxes, and the innovation system in East Asia. First of all, I would like to sincerely thanks to APO and all member countries for giving me this opportunity to introduce the AI regulatory sandboxes. I'm truly an honor to speak with such distinguished group of experts and the policymakers from across Asia and the Pacific. As policymakers, we all face same challenges: how to foster the innovation while ensuring the public safety, trust, and accountability. I hope today's discussion will offer the meaningful insight that support our shared mission. This is the content today's presentations. And what is the purpose of an AI regulatory sandboxes? An AI regulatory sandboxes is control the policy environment where AI developers, regulators, and stakeholders can test new AI systems in real-world conditions without being fully bounded by existing regulation, but under close oversight. And it allows for the early identification of legal, ethical, or technical risk, iterative policy running, and the safe experimentation with new high-risk AI technology before wide deployment. Truthworthy, the AI demands more than technical accuracy or regulatory exemptions. The system like autonomous vehicles, medical AI, and the algorithmic hiring must be evaluated from the fairness, explainability, and accountability, not just performance. To address these challenges, the AI regulatory sandboxes are essentials, and they offer the structured policy experimentation that help the navigate the privacy concerns, algorithmic bias, and the legal uncertainties, area where existing framework often fall short. The globally AI sandboxes are becoming critical governance tools. For example, the UK ICO auditing framework, the Singapore's AI Verify, and the EU AI Act, which mandate the sandbox implementation by 2026. They all reflect a shared shift toward the flexible yet the responsible oversight. The global trend is unmistakable. The AI regulatory sandboxes are becoming essential infrastructure for meaningful, complex, and high-impact AI systems through the adaptive, collaborative experimentations. In the EU, the AI Act, Article 57, mandate that all member states must establish the AI regulatory sandboxes by 2026. These are not just a national pilot, they are the designed for the cross-border regulatory corporations, the enabling the real-world test and the corporations. Moreover, the EU model promotes the mechanism level sharing, allowing the regulator to benchmark, collaborate, and harmonize the oversight across the country, reducing the fragmentations. In Asian, the AI ethics and the governance guideline recommend the regulatory sandboxes as tool for embedding ethics and accountability into AI systems. Here, the sandboxes are seen as institutional platforms, not just technical pilots. In short, from the EU to Asians, all sandboxes are evolving into standard model for ethical, flexible, and cooperative AI governance. The OECD explicitly endorsed this approach, recognizing it as essential for building trustworthy AI. By testing the regulation in real-world environment, the policymakers can assess AI's impact on rights, safety, fairness, and accountability before full deployment. One practical model is start-up mode, the policy experiment, where AI technologies are tested under limited conditions. If risk proved unacceptable, it will be abandoned. If results are promising but complex, it will decide the scale cautiously. If benefits are clear and manageable, it will decide to expand reasonably. And this evidence-based adaptive approach ensures the AI is governed by running, not just guessing. And this is a slide about the necessity of establishing the domestic AI regulatory response systems. And these insights are drawn from the direct engagement at the 2025 AI Action Summit, especially the Governance Summit Subcommittee on AI Regulatory Sandboxes. This is not just a desk review. It reflects the active policy dialogue and the real-world practice. This research on the AI regulatory sandboxes originated from our presentation in the AI Action Summit 2025 in Paris, where I was invited to join an international dialogue on shaping the agile governance framework for the emerging AI technologies. AI Summit, the expert policymakers and the researchers from diverse regions gather to address one critical question: how can regulatory system evolve to support the AI innovation while ensuring the accountability, transparency, and the public trust? During these discussions, several key insights emerged: the importance of experimental regulatory framework that allow the controlled testing of AI applications, the need for the adaptive oversight model that can respond to rapid technological changes, the recognition that cross-border collaboration is essential, and especially given the AI transnational native, these insights serve as a foundation for this side. So from this summit, it became clear that while global consensus on the value of AI sandboxes was growing rapidly, and their actual implementation would require national level contextualizations. So now every country must carefully examine its existing legal and regulatory landscape, the readiness of its institutions to support the AI experimentations. And the regulatory experimentation is not just about the test AI technologies, it's the policy tool for testing the governance itself. The AI sandboxes allow the real-world evaluation of legal compliance, accountability, and social acceptance, and the regulatory risk before full deployment. This serves as the bridge between the innovation and oversight, aligning the local practice with the global standard. To make AI policy strategic and sustainable, we must move beyond the ad hoc pilot. The institutionalizing the sandboxes transform them into stable, repeatable tool for governance, not just temporary exemptions. Unlike the traditional sandboxes focus on the market access, the AI sandboxes are designed to build the public trust, ensure the accountability, and validate the responsible AI. They are trust infrastructure, not just innovation boosters. To function effectively, they require the multi-layered framework. To make the AI policy strategic and sustainable, we must move beyond the ad hoc pilot. So to function effectively, they require the multiple layer framework, as I said before. And the regulatory experimentation is emerging as a key policy response to the rapid evolution of technologies like AI and ICTs. It enabled the government to test new technologies and assess the legal risk in real-world setting, and promoting the innovation while safeguarding society. The OECD recognizes the regulatory experimentation as a core element of trustworthy AI governance, and they are highlighting its role in creating flexible and adaptive regulatory systems. One practical model is the startup mode policy experiment. And you must be wondering, how is the AI sandboxes differ from the traditional ones? So the sandbox concept is shared, but its shape depends on the technologies, risk, and the policy goals. The common ground is that all sandboxes provide a safe testing space for new technologies before full deployment. and the temporary regulatory flexibility to lower innovation barriers. And it also have a characteristic like a tool for the creating the pro-innovation environment. But there is a difference. What's tested, AI versus fintech, biotech, different technologies and different challenges. And how is evaluate the various in-depth from technological performance to ethical and legal impact. And how is run? The governance model differed across sector and countries. The AI sandboxes often require the multi-stakeholder coordination and ethical oversight. In short, AI sandboxes are built on the same foundation, but they are more complex, ethical sensitive, and the governance incentive than many traditional models. And what makes AI sandbox unique? All regulatory sandbox built on a common operating foundation shared with other sectors, but they also include AI specific design features. The AI specific design features, these are added layer tailored to AI unique risk and innovation dynamics, the algorithmic and ethical and rapid and unpredictable technological changes. So in short, the AI sandboxes are built on shared foundation, but it requires specialized features to ensure the responsible and adaptive governance to artificial intelligence. So what can we learn from international case studies? There has a case study, it starts from the Korea. There is the outcome in Korea is the all sandboxes act as the policy lab, the enabling safe and the structured testing of AI-driven service. In Korea, the 48 out of 1,522 sandboxes case were AI related, the highlighting their growing importance. This help bridge private sectors, innovation, and public policymaking, aligning market needs with regulatory goals. But there are also limitations. Many sandboxes still rely on the outdated regulatory models. They struggle to keep pace with AI rapid evolutions. This creates the gap between the innovation and regulations, risking a backlash and the loss of public trust. So there's a key challenges in AI sandboxes implementations in Korea, the data infrastructure gaps and standardizations and evolution issues. And the third one is the global norms and cross-border limitations. And this is the EU case, EU AI Act and AI regulatory sandboxes. The AI regulatory sandboxes are central to EU's strategy for promoting the responsible innovations. The EU AI Act from 2024, the world's first comprehensive AI law, combined with the right protection with technological advancement, setting global standards for the safety, fairness, and accountability. The US approach is different with the EU. US is target for the market-driven AI sandboxes. The US promote the AI innovation by reducing the regulatory burdens and empowering privacy sector leadership. Since the American AI initiative from 2019, the national efforts have focused on the innovation-friendly regulations, the infrastructure investment, and the decentralization of governance. China is advancing the AI innovation by embedding the AI into all sectors while institutionalizing the local regulatory experimentations. the local first policy experimentation. There is a policies like we call the first in, first out. The China operate the first in, first out regulatory model where local government pilot new AI technologies and policies before central rollout. So this system is institutionalizing the right to trial and errors, and it also allows the early experimentation and faster running cycles. So now in China, 20 national AI pilot zones have been established, and including in the Beijing and Yangtze River Economic Belt and the Great Bay Area. The Japan case, Japan focused on the technology demonstration and global corporations. Japan's AI policies emphasize the real-world technology demonstrations and the international corporations. And recently, the 28th May in 2025, the AI Promoting Act just published it. And Japan has adopted the hybrid regulatory strategy that is based on the US autonomous and market-oriented approach, while also reflecting the EU law-based regulatory principle and implementing institutional control at the national levels. The other country is the UK, Singapore, ASEAN member states. First of all, the UK case is leading a global effort to shape the AI norms and the standard through the proactive and flexible regulatory approach. And the Singapore case is quite interesting. It with the ethical driven innovation hub, and the Singapore position itself as a global AI innovation hub through the fast and collaborative policy actions. In Singapore, especially the AI Verify program, jointly operated by IMDA and PDPC, certified the AI system for transparency, trust, and ethics. In ASEAN, it operates cross-border AI regulatory sandbox models in enabling the regional experimentation and coordination recently. And this initiate with the diverse digital maturity levels, ASEAN focus on the experimental cooperative framework for data flow, the AI safety, and the economic revitalizations. So this is a summary of comparative analysis of domestic and the international feature and implication. You can reference this slide. And from this, the result, there is a key response and focus on the domestic and international AI regulatory sandboxes. I divided the three types. First type is the embedded approach. Used in Korea, Japan, and China. AI demonstration are included within existing regulatory sandboxes models, and this offers the speed and flexibility, but lack of the specialized tool to address AI unique risk like explainability, bias, or liability. And second type is standalone AI, focused on the sandboxes, the EU, Singapore, and OECD models. And these countries built a dedicated sandboxes space designed around the AI-specific risk and accountability structures. And it includes the rigorous safeguards, ethics framework, and the multi-agency oversight. And third type is hybrid privacy public models. It adopted in the United States. AI is tested through the federal and state level sandboxes, but Implementation is decentralized, but often read by privacy sector pilots. And you can reference this case. And what should be considered when establishing an AI regulatory sandboxes? Based on the discussion of governance subcommittee at the AI Action Summit 2025, we drive the key consideration for designing domestic AI regulatory sandboxes. Based on the issue raised in the international discussions, there's a key factors that need to reflect in the design of domestic system or identified it. There is an AI-specific element, data, standardizations, global issues, and the common operating base is the AI expert with the regulatory agencies, the multi-agency cooperation and stakeholder engagement and evaluation framework. So this slide you can reference. The conclusion and the policy challenges AI regulatory sandboxes. The AI regulatory sandboxes are emerging as a core governance tool that bridges the gap between fast-moving innovation and the responsible oversight. So they enable the real-world testing policy running and the trust buildings, especially for high-risk AI systems. However, the sandbox effectiveness depends on the having the right institutional design, the regulatory clarities, and stakeholder coordinations. So as I said before, there is a data standardizations, the global issues. In data, it is very important the secure and trust sharing environment. So build the safe privacy conscious infrastructure for sharing and using data during AI testing. So this enables the realistic technology validation while protecting user and complying with the data laws. So there's the three alternative when your country adopt the AI regulatory sandboxes. First alternative is the AI in existing sandboxes. It's a short-term and integrated models. It will have to quick and easy to implement, but lack the AI-specific standards and multi-agency coordinations. It also useful as a temporary or complementary models, but it has a limited capacity to address a high-risk AI. The second alternative is the AI-specific sandboxes in the AI Basic Act, called the mid to long-term strategies. Institutionalized by the AI Act, it will enable the dedicated governance, legal basis, and align with the EU AI Act. And it requires the parallel legal and the policy review before adaptations. And third alternative is the AI track within existing systems. It called the gradual mixed approach. It can add an AI-specific track under the current system, flexible and feasible. And it also supports the gradual transitions toward the dedicated governance. But it lacks the legal clarity and it may not ensure coherent regulation for high-risk AI. So this is the three alternatives you can reference. And this is the conclusion of my research. But most important thing is, I think, the data sharing model when you build the AI regulatory sandbox in your countries. So it should establish data sharing based on the empirical activation models. So you can reference the policy issue as I written in this slide. should introduce a data cooperative model based on the public-private data cooperation. And it also very important to introduce a de-identified data-based demonstration special case. And it should link to the global data framework, I think. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Che, for your comprehensive and thought-provoking presentation. Right. Your insight into the evolving landscape of AI regulatory sandbox have given us the much to consider. To explore this idea further and to benefit from your international comparative analysis, I'd like to pose a few questions to deepen our understanding of this topic. So, first question is to begin with this, let's clarify the foundation. AI regulatory sandboxes are often mentioned alongside traditional regulatory sandboxes, but they appear to have unique goals and structures. Then how does AI regulatory sandbox differ from traditional regulatory sandboxes in both purpose and structures?
Yeah, thank you for your questions. I think the AI regulatory sandboxes differ from the traditional sandboxes in both the purpose and structures. In terms of the purpose, I think the traditional sandboxes focus on the testing new product by temporarily relaxing regulations. In contrast, the AI sandboxes are primarily designed to mitigate the risk, test compliance, and refine the governance mechanism under the complex ethical, legal, and societal conditions. And in terms of the structures, while the previous sandboxes often involve a single regulators, but AI sandboxes typically involve the multi-stakeholders collaborations, including the data protection, authority, ethical approach, and the civil society actors. Finally, I think in terms of the operations, AI sandboxes are not just about the market entry, but it should empathize the transparencies, risk evaluation, and adaptive regulatory running. For example, under the EU AI Act, the sandbox must be free for small medium enterprise, and it focus on the testing legal compliance and risk safeguards, not just innovations.
Right. So, turning into the international practices, you have shared various global examples, right? Among these, some countries seem to be leading the way of the aligning innovations with responsible governance. So, which countries' approaches to AI regulatory sandbox do you believe offer the best model for global harmonization, and the reason is why?
I think in terms of global interoperability, I think now the Singapore stand out as a leading model for AI sandboxes. First of all, the Singapore places a strong emphasis on the alignment with international frameworks such as those from the OECD, G7, and the EU's. And especially the AI 45 programs uphold the government-backed toolkit to evaluate the AI systems trustworthiness, and is being tested in collaboration with major companies like Microsoft and Google now. And second one is the Singapore adopt the multi-stakeholder governance structures rather than being led solely by single regulators. It involves the Infocom Media Development Authority, called the IMDA in Singapore. It working alongside independent third-party auditors to evaluate the issue like data protection, algorithmic fairness, and explainability. Finally, I think the Singapore actively promote the cross-border collaboration now. It's work with the UK and EU on international sandbox networks, and its adoption of privacy enhancing technologies. and it allows to the test compliance in way that are scalable across jurisdictions. So overall, I think the Singapore model is highly ageable and internationally connected and built with both innovation and trust in mind, I think.
Right. Thank you. And now let's consider the challenge of the measuring impact. As with any policy tool, effectiveness depends heavily on how outcomes are evaluated. What are the biggest challenges in designing an effective evaluation framework for AI regulatory sandboxes, and how can they become overcome?
I think the biggest challenges in evaluating the AI regulatory sandboxes is defining meaningful metrics that go beyond technical performance. In many cases, we can't just ask, did the technology works or was the regulation relaxed? Instead, we need to ask, like, did the sandbox help build the public trust? Or did it identify the real risk and improve the oversight? To address this, we need, I think, a multiple dimension and cross-disciplinary evaluation framework. And it should include not just technical performance, but also legal compliance, like social acceptance, explainability, and the data ethics issues. And evaluation panel should ideally involve regulators, engineers, or like external experts. The second one is, I believe we need a shift in mindset from success-based evaluation to running-based evaluations. As the OECD and EU, they are emphasizes the real value of sandboxes in not just testing what works, but revealing what doesn't work and why. So tracking how challenges was addressed is more important than pass or fail outcomes. So finally, we should incorporate stakeholder and civil society feedbacks to understand how the AI system interact with real peoples. In the way, the sandbox is becoming not just technical testbed, but a social running platform for smarter regulation, I think.
Thank you for your answer. And next question is for countries, especially for the developing countries that have not yet introduced such systems. So it's very important to understand what foundational steps are necessary to move forward. So what policy tools or legal reforms are most urgently needed to institutionalize or dedicate AI regulatory sandbox system in countries without one?
Yes. In my viewpoint, the most urgent need is to legally institutionalize the AI regulatory sandboxes by providing them with dedicated legal foundations. Right now, in many countries, including Korea, the sandboxes are mostly run as a pilot project based on the temporary administrative discretions. This creates the legal uncertainty for the participating companies, especially when it comes to the issue like data protection, algorithmic bias, or liability in case of harms. So a leading example is EU AI Act. It required all member states to establish the regulatory sandboxes by 2026 from my presentations. And it clearly lay out the conditions such as free access for the small medium enterprise companies, support from the regulatory authorities, protection of confidentialities, and the guidance on risk and compliance. And this feature provide both clarity and legal protections, and it make the sandbox a true instrument for innovation and governance. So in Korea, I think it's time to move beyond the temporary model and create a formal legal framework, possibly, and through a dedicate the AI Sandbox Act. This law should define which type of AI system are eligible, how risks are assessed, and what rights and the protections are granted. And most importantly, I think how the sandbox results are integrated with the regulatory policy makings. Without such framework, I think the sandboxes may struggle to evolve into the sustainable, trustworthy institution for AI governance.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. And this is my final question. And let's look at the broader global context. With AI playing a growing role in the digital trade and cross-border service and governance, alignment becomes crucial. In the context of the global digital trade, how can AI regulatory sandboxes contribute to the creating a fair and interoperable international AI governance framework?
I think to scale AI-enabled the digital trade, we need mutual regulatory trust and interoperability across the countries. And this is where AI regulatory sandboxes can play a critical role as testing ground and coordination platforms. And first, I think the sandboxes is allow the countries to experiment with the shared norms such as transparencies, risk management, and the accountability framework. The Singapore's AI Verified program is a good example. It's designed for the compatibility with OECD and EU AI Act principle, which have the build mutual recognitions in cross-border digital service. And second one is sandbox outcomes can support the cross-border assurance mechanisms. For example, where an AI-driven product or decision system is used in another countries, the sandbox record could demonstrate what level of risk assessment and oversight was applied. And this faster confidence in digital transactions. And finally, I think the sandboxes can promote inclusive AI governance, especially for SMEs and developing countries, by providing a controlled, low risk environment to test AI systems against the international standard. The sandbox have broaden participation and ensure that digital trade is not just limited to large tech actors or advanced economies. So overall, I think the sandboxes are not just regulatory tools, but they are diplomatic instrument for building AI trust across borders.
All right, thank you so much once again for Dr. Che for your insight presentation and thoughtful responses. Right. Today's discussion has shed light on the critical role that AI regulatory sandbox can play in balancing innovation with responsibility, an issue of growing importance as AI technologies become increasingly integrated into our economies and societies. We have seen how international collaboration, flexible policy design, and evidence-based experimentation can help shape more adaptive and trustworthy regulatory environment. It's clear that this is not just a technical issue, but a matter of the strategic governance and long-term productivity. To all our viewers, thank you for joining us in this important conversation. So we hope today's session has provided valuable perspective to inform your own work in policy, innovation, and productivity. This concludes our APO productivity talk on AI regulatory sandboxes. So we look forward to seeing you at your next session. Until then, stay safe and stay curious. So thank you once again, Dr. Che, today. So hope to see you once again. Thank you.